Alright, welcome to Geometry 9-2. In this section, we're looking at probability distributions and frequency tables. And before we go on, we just want to look at what a frequency table is, in case you've never seen one before. So a frequency table is a data display that shows how often, or the frequency, an item appears in a category. So as a rough example here, if this represents a survey of, let's see, 30 plus 10 is 40, plus 12 is 52. So let's say 52 people were interviewed to say, hey, what's your favorite type of music? If 10 said rock, then that's the frequency. That's how often in that interview people said rock. If 12 people said country, that's how often, or the frequency, that someone said country. If 30 people said rap, that's how often that it appeared for that. So a frequency table just shows you, for each type of category, how often an item appears. All right, let's look at relative frequency. Relative frequency is going to be defined as, let me get a new color, that's fine. The ratio of the frequency of the category to the total frequency. Well, not total frequency. Let's read through this one more time. Relative frequency is what's the ratio of the frequency of the category to the total frequency. And we'll look at an example for that right now. So, what is the relative frequency of rock music? Well, it's pretty simple. First we say, remember, it's a ratio, so the first part of the ratio is what's the ratio of the frequency of the category. So the category is first. 2, your denominator is going to be the total frequency. So the top is the frequency of the category. So that's 10. So that means 10 to the total. Well, the total is actually going to be the sum of all of this. And if you add this all up, you get 40. So that would mean that the total is 40 possible. So the relative frequency for rock music is 10 to 40, and you can reduce that to 1/4. 1/4 is a relative frequency for rock music. Simple as that. Just what category is it? That's 2, the ratio of the total amount. Well, there's 40 total if you add all those up. Let's continue. Okay, so calculating probability using relative frequency. So I'm referring to problem 2 on page 831, and I didn't have space to write out the whole question, but what this question is saying is a student conducted an experiment by flipping a bunch of coins, and here are his results. So the results could have been heads, 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 tails. These are all the different possible results that you could do if you flipped 3 coins, or a coin 3 times. And here's how many times he got it. So he got 3 heads came up when he flipped all 3, 10 times. But 3 tails. But tails, heads only came up twice. So this was from an experiment. So the question is, what is the probability that exactly 2 heads will occur? Right? Exactly 2 heads. So the first thing we need to do is see how many of these exactly have 2 heads. Well, the first one doesn't. This one doesn't. But the second one does. This one had too many. It has 3, the first one. The second one, though, does. It has exactly 2. This one does have exactly 2. And this one has exactly 2. And the rest don't, right? So the frequency of getting exactly 2, if you add those all up, is 15. What's the total frequencies? Well, if we add up all of these, you would get a total of 50. So the relative frequency of making exactly 2 heads is 15 over 50, which we reduce to 3/10, or 3 to 10. And that's the relative frequency of exactly 2 heads. Okay, I'm going to stay on this page, but I want to talk real quick about probability distributions. And probability distributions show the probability of each outcome. This is pretty simple. So probability distributions, I'm just going to write that in this column. Probability distributions. So the probability would mean that for this heads to occur, the probability distribution is the probability of that outcome. So that is simply 5, since it came up 5 times, out of 50, which is the total. This is 7 out of 50. This is 9 out of 50. This is 6 out of 50. 2 out of 50. 9 out of 50. 10 out of 50. And 2 out of 50. So those are the probability distributions for each event. Okay, that's it. Good luck. See you next section.